Hello students, this is Mrs. Sonal Patil. In a previous class, we have studied up till tRNA, the adapter molecule. Today we will study an important step, translation. Important process rather. Very important from exam point of view again. Translation refers to the process of polymerization of amino acids to form a polypeptide. The coded message present on mRNA strand is translated or decoded into a polypeptide chain or a type of protein is called translation. This process of translation takes place in the cytoplasm of a cell where ribosome is located. The order and sequence of amino acids are defined by the sequence of bases in the mRNA. The amino acids are joined by a bond which is known as peptide bond. So, two amino acids are linked together by a bond called as peptide bond. Formation of a peptide bond requires energy. Therefore, in the first phase itself, amino acids are activated in the presence of ATP. So, remember, this is the first step in translation, that is activation or charging of an amino acid. So, here the amino acids are being charged. So, here the amino acids, before they attach to tRNA, they should be activated by using ATP molecules. It is catalyzed by an enzyme, amino acyl synthetase. The activated amino acid will be picked up by specific tRNA molecule and form amino acyl tRNA. This process is called charging of amino acid. Such a tRNA carrying an amino acid is called loaded tRNA. So remember, it is called as loaded tRNA. So this is the first step in the translation, that is activation or charging of the amino acid. The presence of catalyst would enhance the rate of peptide bond formation. The cellular factor responsible for synthesizing protein is the ribosome. So ribosomes are responsible for the synthesizing the proteins. The ribosome consists of a structural RNAs and about 80 different proteins. In its inactive state, it exists as two subunits. So it is having two subunits, a larger subunit and a smaller subunit. When the small subunit encounters an mRNA, the process of translation of the mRNA to protein begins. There are two sites in the large subunit for subsequent amino acids to bind to and thus be close enough to each other for the formation of peptide bonds. So remember, on the largest subunit there are two sites present where the amino acids will come and attach and they form peptide bond with each other. So this is, in this way they are linked. The ribosome also act as catalyst for the formation of peptide bond. A translational unit in mRNA is a sequence of RNA that is flanked by the start codon AUG and the stop codon and codes for a polypeptide. So this is nothing but, here an mRNA also has some additional sequences that are not translated and are referred as untranslated regions, UTR. They are called as UTR, untranslated regions. The UTRs are present at both 5' end and at 3' end. They require for efficient translation process. They are required for the efficient translation process. Now for initiation, the second step is initiation, chain initiation. This is the second step. For the initiation, the ribosomes bind to the mRNA at the start codon. So I have told you the starting codon or the start codon is AUG, from where the initiation of the polypeptide begins. So here the start codon AUG, that is recognized only by the initiator tRNA. So initiator tRNA recognizes the AUG. The ribosome proceeds to the elongation phase. Yes, the ribosomes proceeds to the elongation phase. Now this is the second step called as chain elongation. So here, during this stage, complexes composed of an amino acid linked to tRNA sequentially bind to the appropriate codon in the mRNA by forming complementary base pairs with the tRNA anticodon. The ribosome moves from one codon to the next along the mRNA. Amino acids are added one by one, translated into polypeptide sequences dictated by DNA and represented by mRNA. So here, in the elongation process, the ribosomal subunits shift from one codon to another codon on the mRNA strand. This is called translocation. So here the tRNA is moving from one site to the next site on the larger subunit of the ribosome. The tRNA carrying the second amino acid enters the first site. Again, the translocation of ribosome takes place on the mRNA strand continuously, hence genetic code is said to be commaless. Now, this is occurring during elongation. At the end, a release factor binds to the stop codon, terminating the translation and releasing the complete polypeptide from the ribosome. So during termination, what is happening here? The codons present on mRNA strand are translated by ribosomes continuously to form a long polypeptide chain until the ribosomes reach terminator codon. Now terminator codons are UAA, UAG and UGA, as you all know. So when the ribosomes are shifted to the terminator codons UAA or UAG or UGA, the process of chain elongation is terminated. The long polypeptide chain so formed is dissociated from the ribosome and released into the cytoplasm of a cell that become into a type of protein. Both smaller and the larger subunits also dissociate from the mRNA strand. So this is nothing but termination. This is the last step of translation. So the first step is activation or charging of the amino acid. Second is chain initiation. Third is the chain elongation. And the fourth step is chain termination. So in this, it has been shown the steps of translation. You can see here. The first step is initiation. So initiation complex is formed over here. You can see the first, they have shown binding of the initiation factors to 30S ribosomal subunits. Second step is binding of the initiator tRNA and the mRNA to 30S subunit. They have shown here. Okay, then binding of the 50S ribosomal subunit. So they have shown the sites on the larger subunit. You can see over here. So this is explaining the process of translation. Regulation of gene expression. Regulation of gene expression refers to a very broad term that may occur at various levels. Considering that gene expression results in the formation of a polypeptide, it can be regulated at several levels. In eukaryotes, the regulation could be exerted at transcriptional level, that is during the formation of primary transcript, processing level, that is regulation of splicing, transport of mRNA from nucleus to cytoplasm, or at the translational level. The genes in the cell are expressed to form a particular function or a set of functions. For example, if an enzyme called beta-galactosidase is synthesized by E. coli, it is used to catalyze the hydrolysis of a disaccharide lactose into galactose and glucose. The bacteria use them as a source of energy. Hence, if the bacteria do not have lactose around them to be utilized for energy source, they would no longer require the synthesis of the enzyme beta-galactosidase. Therefore, in simple terms, it is the metabolic, physiological or environmental conditions that regulate the gene expressions or expression of genes. The development and differentiation of embryo into adult organisms are also a result of coordinated regulation of expression of several set of genes. In prokaryotes, control of the rate of transcriptional initiation is the predominant site for control of gene expression. In a transcription unit, the activity of RNA polymerase at a given promoter is in turn regulated by interaction with auxiliary proteins which affect its ability to recognize start sites. These regulatory proteins can act both positively and negatively. So they will act as activators or repressors. The accessibility of promoter regions of prokaryotic DNA is in many cases regulated by the interaction of proteins with sequences termed operators. The operator region is adjacent to the promoter. So the operator region is adjacent to the promoter elements in most operons, and in most cases the sequences of the operator bind a repressor protein. Each operon has its specific operator and specific receptor. For example, LAC operator is present only in the LAC operon and it interacts specifically with LAC repressor only. The LAC operon concept. The elucidation of the LAC operon was also a result of a close association between the geneticist Francois Jacob and a biochemist Monod. They were the first to elucidate a transcriptionally regulated system. In LAC operon, here LAC refers to lactose, a polycistronic structural gene is regulated by a common promoter and regulator genes. Such arrangement is very common in bacteria and is referred to as operon. To name few such examples, LAC operon, TRP operon, ERA operon, HIS operon, etc. The LAC operon consists of one regulatory gene. The I gene, here the term I does not refer to inducer, rather it is derived from the word inhibitor, and the three structural genes Z, Y and A. The I gene codes for the repressor of the LAC operon. The Z gene codes for beta galactosidase. So I gene codes for the repressor of LAC operon. The Z gene codes for beta galactosidase, which is primarily responsible for the hydrolysis of the disaccharide lactose into its monomeric units, that is galactose and glucose. The Y gene codes for permease, which increases permeability of the cell to beta galactosides. The A gene encodes a transacetylase. Hence, all the three gene products in LAC operon are required for metabolism of lactose. In most other operons as well, the genes represent in the operon are needed together to function in the same or related metabolic pathway. So remember, this LAC operon concept is very important. Up till here we'll stop today. In the next class we will begin from the LAC operon once again and study in detail the LAC operon concept, and then we will start with the Human Genome Project, and last we'll end up with the DNA fingerprinting. Today we'll stop here, and in the next class we will continue the same from the LAC operon concept. Thank you.